All right, here we are, RJ, after the first ever 4-game win streak for the Seattle Kraken, getting the win over the Pittsburgh Penguins. A close game, we'll get into it more. The first game, I felt like the Kraken maybe weren't necessarily the favorited team as things went going, but they got the win anyway, and we get to have a nice ECH dance party here on ECH Postgame Live, presented by Queen Anne Beer Hall.
Yes, we do. And this game, you mentioned that this is probably not one that they looked like they'd be the favorites to win once the game got going. But when you take the 3 games of this road trip, I feel like in a lot of ways, this one might actually be the game that they can be most proud of. It wasn't as dominant a performance like the Minnesota game, and it wasn't the crazy kind of comeback of the Calgary game. But this one, I just felt like they had to really earn everything, maybe a little bit more than the other two. And to me, it felt like a playoff game. For long stretches of that game, it felt like a playoff game, especially in the third period. And proving that they can win a game like this was, I think, an entirely different kind of challenge than what they had faced in the previous two.
Right, and we had talked about that challenge at the end of the last post game, right? Looking ahead to the Penguins, and this is a team that's going through a really bad stretch right now. This Pittsburgh Penguins team, they're going to be 0-6-1 now in their last 7 games after this one. So we talked about how this was going to be a challenge for the Kraken. You're going to play, some of the best players in the world who are going to be more motivated than ever to try to win. And we saw that, right? Like they played really, really well, the Penguins, and we'll get into all of it as we go through comments and stuff. But the Kraken, they did what they had to do, which was they made sure they didn't make any mistakes. They made sure that they weren't going to let the Penguins have anything. The Penguins were going to have to earn everything. And that's kind of like, that's something that if you go back a week, 2 weeks, certainly a month, right, we would have been like, whoa, the Kraken doing that? Are you sure you're talking about the same team, right? Like, so it just shows the growth already that this Seattle team has had through 13 games. And I'm just super, super happy to see that. And I knew they had it in them. I'm glad to see them kind of figure it out and get it going so quickly.
Yeah. And we both knew, right? We said after that first Pittsburgh game, if they can just get that second win, you could see them just rattling off a few in a row. And that's exactly what's happened.
Exactly. Alex, clutch scoring in close games will get it done. Clutch scoring, lucky bounces, like all of that stuff is what it takes. And, again, Kraken, they put themselves in situations where, they were going to keep that game close until they got a bounce. And they get that bounce with that Yanni Gord goal, and everything is pretty solid from there for them. And then they were able to survive the bad bounce the other way, right? With Matty Beniers, tipping one in past Martin Jones. But again, it just shows that this team is resilient. It shows that this team has learned from their mistakes. They've learned what it takes to hang in these close games. Like you said, I think you nailed it when you said playoff atmosphere, because that's really what this game was about. And the Kraken showed that they can win that stuff. It's so cool. Tyler, let's go. Good to see you, Tyler, in here. Madero's historic 4-game win streak. Who would have thought we'd be talking about that? It's awesome. Kraken Hawk, I didn't see the game, but word on the street is that we're on a 4-game win streak. We are indeed. It was a really good one. I suggest you go see highlights when you can, Kraken Hawk. Brian, 4 in a row. Coop, hee-haw. Let's go, boys. Madero's, this team plays so much different than last year. More heart, more drive. 1,000%. That has been something that has been consistent with this group all year long. But like I said, now they're starting to limit those mistakes. They're starting to learn how to get those bounces going in their favor, and it's made the difference for them.
Yeah, and just watching this team, it's night and day the level of confidence that you have. I mean, I'm sure everyone watching that game can kind of feel the difference in how, in how they feel about a certain situation and how you feel like the Kraken are going to respond to that situation compared to last season, where it just felt like things are going to find a way to go wrong. And this year, it seems like things are going to find a way to go right.
Exactly. And it's it just feels so good. The constant pressure, the constant energy that they have all the way down, right? Again, another night where you felt like all 4 lines were dangerous at some point. And again, that's something that's just so exciting to see from this team this year. Let's see. Hunter, what a gutsy performance. It really was. This was one where they had to dig deep and make sure they stayed in it, and they did. Coop, I told you Yanni was about to go off now. That's right. Tammy, is it just me or is that Pittsburgh Let's Go got to be the most obnoxious thing ever? Uh, it's a classic. It's a thing. It's what they do. I don't know.
Nuh-uh. It's annoying, Dylan. Your pen's glasses
Wait,
here
you
are
don't
shading your
well, no, I
opinion.
was gonna say, you don't like a 30-year-old horn that's clearly been worked out every other day for 30 years and doesn't have a ton left going off in your ear?
There you go. You see it now.
I I was working there, you didn't give me a
Okay. All
chance.
right. Gotta give Dylan a chance.
I was the guy defending Hackstall, remember? Come on.
True, true. All right. Well, we got 2 super chats.
Alright, go for it.
All right. We'll start with Jules. We're 2nd in the Pacific and 6th in the league. In the league. I
Yeah.
mean, it's great to see the Kraken in these real positions in the standings too, where you can start even looking around the rest of the league and be like, all right, who do we want to lose? Because it's gonna matter.
Yes.
It's just great to see him involved like that.
Right, and to just kinda be in such a solid position within the division too, because we talked about it before the season started. That felt like, if you're gonna be in that playoff hunt as long as possible, that's where you're gonna need to get it done, and right now, sitting 2nd in the division looks pretty good from up top. Thanks for the super chat, Jules.
Yep. All right, and next we got CR Bud. Just hard work behind the net, paying off with the Tanev game winner. Absolutely, I love how that goal developed,
Mhm.
winning that battle behind the net. Tanev right there in perfect body position. It's great because it's the stuff that we've seen happen against the Kraken for so long, finally going in their favor, right? Where it feels like, oh, you lose a battle behind the net, puck
Mhm.
goes right out in front and it scores. And to be on the right side of that feels really good.
It really does, and it speaks to the credit of the rest of that line as far as winning that puck battle and really having to draw the defense away, right? Because you have to have one defender commit to the puck battle behind the net, and then you see the other one has to go. Was it Pedersen? I don't remember who it was. Has to go and try to block the pass from getting over to Tanev, right? He has to leave that position net front, and that's what ultimately allows Tanev to just be wide open and have his pickings there of whatever hole Jari was going to leave open for him. And exactly, that was the stuff that we were kind of talking about needing the Kraken needing to fix just a couple weeks ago, and they've really righted the ship, and you're just not seeing that from them anymore.
Yeah, it's so much improved and really great to see.
Yep, thanks again for
And
the
before
super
before
chat.
you go to the next
Yeah.
thing in chat, I just want to go down a little bit because I love seeing someone new kind of stepping up. Tina, ECH lurker since day one, but finally wanted to join chat. Let's go Kraken, we're legit, y'all. Thanks for stepping up for joining us in chat here, Tina. So just want to make sure to read that one.
Yes, for sure. Thank you so much for joining us. Yes. Just took a 4-game win streak. That was all it took,
Yep,
I
she's just
guess.
waiting.
Yep, let's go. Brian, 2016 Martin Jones, you, sir, are a keeper. Definitely.
Shades of 2016. I remember. I seen it, Dylan.
You have. We saw it very up close and personal that year. Very good stuff. Joe with the That's Kraken Hockey, baby. It is indeed. James, Kraken are a wagon? Yeah, I think we
I
can
think
say
they
that for
might
the
be.
first time. Not like a tanking wagon. I'm sure some people were saying that last year. No, this is the good kind. Coop, that back and forth at the end was electric. Martin Jones, so solid. Yes, a hockey game is good when Forsland has to be like up at 100 for like a good solid 3-4 minutes there.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, he called a great game too. I loved it. If
Mhm.
Gord on the board. I mean, Forsland was feeling it tonight.
Yeah, for sure. Tanev and Gord are everywhere when they're out there. They really are. I'm loving the way they're playing right now. Hunter, so are we playoff bound, Dylan? I maybe we'll have to see. We're certainly going to be in the playoff mix until the end of the year, but as long as the Kraken play the way they've been playing, where against any of the lower 15 in the league, you're going to dominate possession. You're going to win most of those games, and as long as you limit mistakes and keep yourself in games like this against good teams, and maybe the Penguins just aren't even a good team considering their 7 losses in a row.
Yeah.
As long as you hang with teams like this and you limit your mistakes, you keep yourself in games waiting for those opportunities where you can take advantage of them, then yes, you're going to win far more of your games than you're going to lose. And generally, that means playoffs.
Yeah, I said the line again tonight when there was, 5 minutes to go. I was thinking it when there was about 10 minutes to go, still tied. But good teams find a way to get at least a point out of this game. When it's tied
Mhm.
late, they don't throw away points. And the Kraken got two out of it, and in regulation too. So they're doing the right things because really it's just a point collection game. It's just
Yep.
pick up as many points as you can, and don't needlessly throw away points. Like, look, the Kraken aren't going to win all of the next 69 games of the regular season,
Yeah.
but if they can continue to take points out of these close games, yeah, the path is absolutely there for them.
Exactly. Superfly 4-game win streak and a perfect road trip. That is something else, right? Talk about the first time ever 4-game win streak. Is this the first perfect road trip the Kraken have had? Like, not counting like one-offs.
I don't know. I'd have to go back and look at the schedule. I'm going to go look at that now. Dylan, hold it down. I
I mean,
won't
I was gonna
be
say
too devoted to it,
I
but
was gonna say we know that they never had a 3-game win streak on the road. Like, this is certainly
yeah.
the first 3-game win streak on the road, but I don't know that they ever really went 2 road games and doing it,
Yeah,
to be
last season
perfectly
I don't
honest.
remember much of that. Yeah, so
Yes. Tyler, serious question. Are the Kraken a legit good team? It's starting to look that way. Yeah, no, they are a legit good team. Uh, I think they're really on their way towards being able to hang with those elite teams at the top kind of consistently. There's still some hurdles we have to get over, right? The next Vegas game is certainly something I'm kind of looking at on the calendar and being like, when can we get back and kind of show that, hey, we've cleaned some stuff up since the first week of the season. You know what I mean? I think that one would be a good one.
yeah, that would be a really good one. And yeah, I'm just kind of itching for them to play some teams that they can really have statement wins against, because this version of this Kraken team, I like them going up against anybody.
Yeah, 1000%. Totally agree. I felt my heart stop when Crosby was driving. Love the way they just mugged him. That was pretty crazy. I
I
was
know.
shocked that they didn't call a penalty, to be honest.
Yeah, the officials really did put away their whistles for a while of that third period. Another reason it felt like a playoff game. You just
Yeah.
felt like those calls weren't coming unless it was something obvious, and both sides were playing like it.
Yep, Joey pointing out we got a sweep of the Penguins for this season. That is definitely true.
Yep.
Uh, like to
I
see
got I
that.
got an update on the road trip thing. I looked it
Okay,
up.
let's go.
Okay, so it is technically their second perfect road trip. The first one being only a 1-game road trip to Anaheim in February of last year. But come on, it's 1 game. I
One
don't
games
count that.
don't count.
It's
Yeah.
their first perfect multi-game road trip,
There we go. Let's go. And as she's pointing out,
which I think I
5.
should tweet about.
Yeah, you probably should. 5-1-1 on the road so far this season. This team, I think we can kind of officially stamp as road warriors, and it's not really that surprising given the way that they're playing right now, the kind of brand of hockey that they're playing, where they're going to try to dominate possession. They're going to come at you with all 4 lines, kind of be relentless. That's the kind of attitude you have to have on the road to go into these opposing buildings, knowing the energy is going to be coming back against you, knowing that you have to rely on your depth because you don't have last change. These are all the things, and then of course the goaltending that has been stellar for them through all of these games now. That's a big component of it as well. But just the fact that that's the mentality it takes to win on the road in this league, and the Kraken seem perfectly built for it, just to
Yeah.
be able to do that.
Yeah, and it's kind of what we predicted from last season when we thought, okay, how the Kraken team should operate.
Yeah.
The perfect team to come in and win on the road. And we're finally seeing it.
Yep. Michael, new plan: build a statue for Dave Hackstall.
We're at this point. Could you imagine, Dylan, on post game live and like a couple weeks ago that we'd have that comment?
Yeah. Oh man, it's so good though. I'm just happy that things turned around and everybody, you know what I mean? Like
Yep.
we're all here in a position where we can celebrate and joke about that stuff. Edward, how sweep it is. I like that one.
Yep.
Jen with the for the dance party. Let's go. Yeah, Lindsay putting out just another Martin Jones game, right? Like we talked about it already, but I just think it does deserve to kind of continue to be mentioned. Martin Jones is absolutely killing it right now. We got a from the infamous the 3 stashes of the game, RJ.
Ooh, okay.
Number 1, Carson Soucy. Number 2, Will Borgen. Number 3, it's a tie between Gord and Donato.
All right.
I mean, it's something we haven't talked about so much yet with the Kraken is the whole
Yep.
Movember thing.
I'm sorry. I missed. Was Susie on that list?
Susie was number one.
Okay, Susie, good. I'm like, he deserves it. I caught the
Susie,
last two names. He had
yeah,
to be number one.
Susie Borgen, and then the Gord Donato tie at 3. I gotta pay more attention. We're gonna have to have for deep dive
Yeah, we
like
got
a
to look at
good,
this a little bit closer.
yeah,
This one that deserves a deep dive.
for definitely. There you go, everybody. On next deep dive, 40 minutes guaranteed, just talking about stashes. Confirmed right here. Aaron, they're no longer outskilled team. They're no longer outskilled, and team chemistry has really come together. Martin Jones is proving himself. It is. I mean, they've got certainly the depth to hang with everybody, even if against the Penguins, right? You don't have maybe the top end skill to hang with Crosby all the time, but just the fact that you've got that depth to compete line after line, it more than makes up for it.
Yeah, absolutely. It makes all the difference.
Yep. And then I think we got a super chat down there from
Yes,
Brian.
we do. From Brian.
Want
me to read it?
Yeah.
All right. Lausanne, Yarncroke, Sheehan, Blackwood, Johansson do not win that game last year. Tonight, they do not make this lineup. Winning is an earned habit. I mean, I do think you make a good point there, Brian. Just the offseason acquisitions and the changing of this roster. And again, looking very good on Ron Francis for the moves that were made. And you can see it's just a different caliber of skill. I think the most apparent place we've seen that this season is on the power play, where the places that the players, that the opposition has to respect and the space that opens up for everybody else. It makes teams have to play you very differently. When a team has to actually contend with your fourth line, maybe scoring goals on almost a nightly basis, they have to worry about that. And it's a different kind of thing than what we saw last season.
It really is. Just all the way down. It's been so different. And thanks again for the super chat, Brian. It's one of those things where, I did want to mention, Penguins 0 for 3 on the power play tonight, right? PK stepped up and handled their business there. Got to see more odd man rushes coming off of that PK, getting good chances there. Like the team just does feel different. There's a confidence about them that I feel like has been there really this whole time. You know what I mean? Like just from training camp and preseason through even those rough games against the Vegas, against the Carolina, just because we were seeing them fight in the third. And I don't know that we would have seen that from the group last year as they were going through everything that they were going through. And one of the things I could think of is, yes, you bring in these guys and you bring in somebody like a Burakovsky who definitely has a winning pedigree and understands what it takes to win these games, and that's good to have in the room. But I also just wonder how much of that is just having an off season of bonding, an off season of being able to work out with each other at times, and then having a full training camp, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I got to think that some of that stuff is also what kind of helps build this overall confidence and this overall just feeling of being a team, and the fact that you can kind of shuffle the lines around mid game and you're still going to get all 4 of them rolling. And I just really wonder how big a problem that really was for the Kraken last year. Just the fact that they didn't have the time to get everybody together and come together as a team.
Yeah, we theorized about that last season, just wondering, well, how important is this offseason going to be? What can they do? I think we're getting our answer now.
Yeah. The game had a noticeably different pace to it. It was a little bit more high octane, I guess I'd say. 37-28 shots on goal for the two teams. Penguins out shooting the Kraken. Definitely felt a little more back and forth than we're used to seeing. But that just makes for good hockey as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, great pace, fun to watch. And we got a super chat here from Tammy. Thank you, Tammy. Treats for Dogskoy.
Yes.
All right. There we go. I know that she's going to enjoy that one.
I was going to say, I don't have the treats up here this time. She's on the bed though next to me. I'll see if I can
assure
make that
you,
happen.
Tammy, she will get treats.
She'll definitely get treats. I had the pizza during the game, so she was getting crust during that. That's why I didn't grab the treats. But yes, we'll make it happen here. Let's see, Brian. What a fantastic game! Thrilling action as the game moved along. Again, key face-off wins late. So happy for Turbo, Geeky, and Gord. Yeah, so that's one of the things that we saw kind of shifted up a little bit during this game is kind of Geeky ended up sliding into that Shane Wright spot as far as centering Gord and Tanev, and that line became key late for the Kraken.
Yeah, absolutely. Putting those three together, and that's another great move by Dave Haxtell. Just kind of knowing the pieces that he has and how well those three work together, and he put them out so often too. They get the go ahead goal. They have almost a half shift on the bench afterward, and he puts them right back out on the ice. He wanted that, like he would have kept them out there for that, response shift if he could have, but they just played a whole shift. So definitely a line that Haxtell trusted down the stretch and one that they can go to at various moments.
Yeah, and that did come at the expense of Shane Wright, whose parents were in the building, and I'm starting to think that that's just like a curse for his time on ice, is having his family in the building. As we get Shane Wright playing only 8:42 tonight. That being said, I thought he did a good job hanging in there against tough players. You could tell the Penguins when they saw him out there, they were going to throw out a Sidney Crosby or an Evgeny Malkin just to try to test him, and I thought he did an all right job.
Yeah, and I thought he was solid throughout. I like that he was trying to be at least a little bit more involved in the play, and than last game where we talked about it. He was just trying to play mistake-free hockey, and I don't blame him at all given the situation. But I felt like he was a little less afraid to make mistakes tonight. We saw it in the first period where he was around some action. I mean, he took his first NHL penalty and then he drew his first
Yes.
NHL penalty. So he was involved there. He was on the ice for the Vince Dunn goal. That's, I think, 3 goals now that he's been on the ice for. 3 out of the 7 the Kraken
Yeah.
have scored in the last 2 games. Doesn't have a point on any of those yet, but he's around the play. Yeah, I like what I saw from him tonight.
Yeah, me too. I thought he played another good game. And what was the one thing I criticized him for last game? Maybe not being super aggressive going into the corners. We saw that from him tonight. We saw that early on in that first period. You go watch his shifts from the first period. He's the first guy into the corners trying to dig that puck out or continue the cycle game. So definitely liked getting to see that. And here we go.
Oh, is
Treats.
she here?
Can you come into frame, please? Come on.
Got to come into frame.
If you want it, it's right here.
There
you
it
go.
is. All right.
There we go. Making it
Promises
happen.
made, promises kept.
Exactly. This is from Greg. That might have been the best Kraken game I've watched, maybe favorite. I want to say a million things, but I'm just sort of speechless. We are well coached. Yes, I said it. High effort team. I certainly the high effort thing is huge, and I feel like that's been the number one difference between this team and last year. And I know we just talked about it with the confidence and the overall team chemistry and the idea of having that full training camp, but I also wonder how much of that is having guys like Matty Beniers, where go back to my scouting report on him, and like the first and last thing I talk about, I think, is just the effort level and the motor and the fact that he's always playing at 110% all the time, and having somebody like that through training camp, through the preseason, knowing he's going to lead your first line. I do wonder if there's a kind of a trickle down element of that.
Yeah, I mean, he is just relentless. I mean, Matty Beniers, the motor on this guy. I was trying to clip some plays of good things that he did just because I kept noticing there were too many. I had to just kind of give up. I'm like, all right, I'll just pick this one. But just he's just such a treat to watch every single shift.
He really was. Gregory, get the broom out. We swept those ugly Penguins, baby. 4 in a row. Love it.
We got a super chat here.
Yep.
From JMG. If Jones continues to play this well, do you think the Kraken would try to trade Drieger? So interesting question, thinking a little bit down the road there, JMG. So yeah, we don't know when Drieger is going to come back, but eventually the Kraken will have to make a call there.
Yes, I would say it's probably going to be tough depending on when he comes back. Like there's a chance he doesn't come back before the trade deadline, which would obviously make a trade very difficult to pull off. The other thing is, I don't know that anybody would trade for him sight unseen after this injury. You know what I mean? I know if I was a team and even if I was desperate for goaltending, I'm probably not going to throw my trade basket eggs into that situation.
And teams can be desperate for goaltending, but I think he's going to have to show something a little bit on the ice, whether it's a conditioning stint in the AHL or just something to kind of get his game back. But once that is the case, if they can find a partner, I think you've got to think about you keeping Jones on board. And if you feel like no team would be interested in Drieger at that contract, I suppose you could waive him if you need to. Not an ideal situation for the people involved, but I mean, if Jones keeps playing like this, the fact is you just can't go away from him.
Exactly. That's when you start thinking about like, do the do the Kraken have to try to figure out a way of extending him?
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
that becomes the situation. All right, RJ, Alex here has informed us how long it took the Kraken to get to 16 points last season. Would you care to guess the date in which it took the Kraken to get there last season?
Okay,
16
let's
points.
all right, it's November 5th now. Gosh, they
Yeah.
had this like long losing streak around game 12 or 13. So I'm gonna go with the end of December 31st or something.
Okay, it was actually November 29th. So
Okay, okay. I was a little bit well because I
We're-
remember they basically missed the whole
yeah,
month of December with the COVID game. So I was like, was it
exactly.
before or after that? Because they
Yeah.
played like 2 months
So
in that
it was
into that
just
month.
before, but that is something definitely good to let us know about Alex, just so we can kind of put all this in perspective, and it's the kind of the perfect thing to show just how much this team has grown year to
Yeah,
year.
for sure. And we got a super chat, another one from this one from Sean. Studs, everyone, but especially Yanni and Jonesy. Credit to veterans and coaches. Truly seem to be getting all the right stuff from the youngsters. I mean, absolutely. You can really call everyone a stud in this game.
Yeah.
Yanni Gord really stepping up after kind of a slow start to the season, and he's doing his thing. I mean,
Mhm.
these are situations that he thrived on in Tampa, and that you can put him out there for these shutdown situations, and they're really able to utilize him the right way. And of course, Martin Jones. I mean, what more can we say about him? We're already talking about trading Chris Drieger potentially.
Yes.
That means Jones is playing well.
Right, well, for me, I think the guy that I'm gonna have to come back around to is Turbo.
Hmm.
Like, that was just a heck of a game from Brandon Tanev. Talk about obviously the go-ahead goal late, that's clutch, make sure you're in the right position to score, take what the goaltender's gonna give you, all of that, like to execute in that moment with all the pressure, that's a big time play. And then, eh, do you think that was an on purpose kicked pass to Yanni Gord for that second Kraken goal tonight?
It looked like he might have been just trying to do something there and get. Yeah, I wouldn't surprise me. Hockey
I
players do have quick reflexes like that.
I think yes, whether like he meant it to go as perfectly as it did or not, I certainly think that was intentional. In which case, heck of a play. Like that's just like one of those next level plays. And this is one of the things that we knew about Brandon Tanev. It might be the only thing we knew about Brandon Tanev besides the infamous pictures that he would take. Is that he is. They always called him in Pittsburgh the heart and soul kind of guy, right? That old school language, but he is just that every minute of every game he's going to go out there and he's going to be scrappy and he's going to do whatever it takes to try to make a positive play for his team. And and I feel like the Kraken have really embraced that mentality as a group, and he's kind of just that poster child for it, and I'm really really glad he's here for it.
Yeah, and just so great to see him healthy again this season. So, Dylan, I
Mhm.
know you're probably going to try and dive back into chat, but I'm not going to let you because we have
Super
another
chat.
super
Yeah,
chat.
let's
This
go.
one from Sergeant Pickles, Studs, Gord, Turbo, Jonesy, Duds, Crosby's face fuzz, Maddie,
Yeah.
no birthday present. We own the Steel City season sweep. Let's go streaking through the
Okay.
quad.
Through the quad, let's go. Yeah, no, it's definitely something. Can't wait for the Panthers and stuff too. I like accumulating these season sweeps. Like, it feels good. Get 12 months to just like hold it over some other city's head. It's really fun. But yeah, it was a lot. And Crosby is just he's just not destined to ever look good with facial hair. I'm
I feel like I
sorry.
can't criticize it that strongly given my past attempts,
Yeah.
and especially being, during a cup run in which Crosby, won the Stanley Cup. So I can't say too much, but I'll let you criticize it, Dylan.
Yeah, it's not good. I will say, I mean, he's what, like 36 now or whatever, 35, and it's finally not as patchy as it used to be. There's kind of only that one like blank spot over on the one cheek, so there's that.
Yeah, you give him that. All right. So the super chats just keep rolling in. This is awesome.
Love
This
it.
one from CR Bud. I will say it again. Playing versus that Tanev Gord combo has got to be a real pain in the butt for an opposing team. Oh, absolutely. I mean, can you imagine having to play against those two at the same
No,
time?
I don't know what I would do. Like what would you do if you're playing against them, RJ? Short of taking penalties, right? Like trying to slow them down by interfering with them, or maybe a slash a little bit to the back of the knee. You know what I mean? Like outside of that, I don't know how you're supposed to defend against their speed and tenacity, really.
Okay, here's my strategy, and I think this is brilliant. Like when you're turning, just kind of accidentally knock your helmet off your head, and then you have to go to the bench, and then you don't have to
And you
play
don't have
against
to
them
play
anymore.
them. Yeah, that works too, I think. Love to, can't wait to hear what like your teammates have to say as shift after shift that magically keeps happening.
I don't know.
Hope you have a nice bus ride down to the AHL after that one. But yeah, they are too much together. Like that is definitely clear. And we'll see at some point if a Carson Kuhlman gets worked back into the lineup, get a line of the three of them together. Good luck. Good
Yeah.
luck. It'll look like the power kill, but 5-on-5 all the time. It'd be awesome. Crispy boy, it feels so good to be on the win streak. Kraken showing that consistency they have been looking for. Oh, and by the way, second in the Pacific Division. That's Kraken hockey, baby. It does feel good to be up here towards the top, doesn't it?
It really does.
Leanne, I pulled something during my happy dance, but it was totally worth it. Woo, y'all.
the sacrifices for these wins, walk it off.
That's what we got to do. Yep. Let's see. So one thing mentioned in I think it was the Sergeant Pickles super chat was, happy 20th birthday, Matty Beniers.
Yeah, happy birthday, Matty. I mean, he's only 20. This is incredible. Like I know I like to be all doom and gloom looking at aging curves, but there's so much of the good part of the aging curve still ahead.
He's got 10 years. He's got 10 years for you, RJ. Ty, decided to get my old butt back on the ice today, and it was amazing. Full fresh kit. Now I'm ready to go. Gord scored while I was taping my blade. Tanev as I taped but new ritual. I mean, gots to now.
Yeah, no, definitely. Got to keep those things going. That's how hockey works.
I was going to say, you got to come back and be a hockey player again, Ty. You know how this works. Superstition rules the day. Especially on a day when we're playing against Crosby, the kind of the king of the superstition there, right?
He loves them.
Shushai, not a great game tonight by the Kraken, but sometimes you find a way to win the games you shouldn't. So let's go ahead and talk about it, because we kind of led off saying that, this was a different kind of win from the last one. I mentioned it before. They got outshot kind of pretty soundly on this one, 37-28. And it was the first time that I felt like the Kraken weren't winning the possession battle totally, right? We were just kind of seeing them hang on at times. That being said, it's still, I don't know that I would call it a bad game.
No, it wasn't a bad game. And I think you're at the end of a road trip. I think, you got the Penguins, who are a very motivated team. We knew that push was going to come. Mm-hmm. And for the first two periods, the Kraken got marginally outplayed. You look at, the shot attempts, the shot quality, it's about 60-40 to 65-35, somewhere in that range. And that's going to happen to you at times over the course of a season, maybe in a spot where you're playing the second half of back-to-back, the other team's rested, or you're at the end of a road trip, the other team's at home and they're motivated. Times like that. And the key during those situations is to keep the game within reach, and to play in a way that even if the other team's going to have possession more often, you keep it manageable for your goalie. And that's exactly what the Kraken did in those first two periods. Then in the third period, it's got that pace to it. Everyone's just out there swinging, trying to get the win. And at that point, the Kraken were able to prevail, but they kept themselves in it through those first two periods. And that was absolutely huge. So I don't mind that they got outplayed, because that's just a situation that you find yourself in. And one that I think would have just kind of downed them, before the second intermission last season.
Yeah, exactly. And it's one where, we're seeing kind of a different overall style from this Kraken team too, when it comes to, being physical. And I feel like that was something that, while the shot quality, or the shot attempts anyway, were kind of going in the favor of the Penguins, one thing that never really left was the Kraken were right there matching them, hit for hit throughout this game. And then you see it also, the Kraken defensively kind of creating that shield around Jones. They made sure to clean up all the rebounds that were ever made available. Not that Martin Jones really left that many out there for them. 18 blocked shots.
I was going to say, they blocked a lot of shots.
It's a lot of shots to be blocking, and so I think that the Kraken, they knew what they were walking into. You're walking into this opposing barn for a highly motivated team, going up against guys like Sidney Crosby, Evgeny Malkin, Jake Gensel had another good game, and so they knew this is, it was going to be a team effort, and we're going to have to wait for our opportunities and then try to make the most of those opportunities that were given, and that's exactly what they did. So I don't know how much of this wasn't just kind of the plan. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it feels more and more often like there is a plan,
Right.
which is great.
Yes. Yes, that too has been big because it's one thing to go in there and try to dominate them, but
Mhm.
in a situation like this, going against this particular team, given where they are, that could have gone bad because that's one of those, like, if you're really trying that and you press at the wrong time and then you give them momentum going back the other way because you made a mistake, it was going to be that much harder for them after the fact. So I kind of like them almost not really taking a full step back, but certainly leaning back just a little bit and waiting for those opportunities to kind of counterattack, counter strike, right? Like they played a defensive game in boxing terms, right? And that sometimes is just the way you need to approach certain opponents to get the W. And I feel like that's what they did tonight.
Yep.
As Star Gray would say, it's a messy win, but it was a win, and that's important. Exactly.
Yep.
Edward, like Batman, Kraken defeat the dastardly Penguins. I had to include that one because I like it. Superfly, that was a great team effort once again, and Jones looks so calm. Really nice to see us win a game like this. That probably would have been an easy win for Pittsburgh last season, for sure. If the Kraken kind of played with that same pace or really tried to, hey, let's lean on goaltending and the defense and try to do that, would not have played last season.
No, it would not have worked.
Let's see. Sean, let's be honest, Penguins had their bounces too. Jonesy just shut the door on them. He really did. Like, outside of the one that went off of Beniers' stick, which what's Martin Jones supposed to do in that
Yeah,
situation? That was really the only time that you felt like the luck element was there for Pittsburgh at all. Because otherwise, you got Malkin falling down all over the place. You got other
I remember that at
problems.
the end. That was something.
It wasn't the first time either. He hit the ice a couple times all by himself. Um, Let's see. Kraken record when Maddie scores improves once again from Alex. Not technically not wrong. Oh man. Yeah, we might want to hide that one come Calder voting time, right? Brutal luck there for Beniers. He was in the right place. Marking his man, active stick. It's unfortunate, but we came back for the win. 2 points, as Brian says. It is. I mean, he was doing everything right in that situation. Like, you want your center playing that far back and helping out the defense net front when they have to get pulled away. It's just, they happen from time to time.
Yep, exactly.
Another happy birthday to Maddie. What a gift. Taking a face off across from Crosby must have been amazing. Amazing, scary. It's the same thing.
Yeah, you can have it both. Some of the best things are both of those things.
Yep. Walt asking what Shane's time on ice was. It was 8:42.
Yep, 8:42.
But a minute 16 on the power play.
Yeah, I love that he's getting power play time.
But he wasn't out there later on the second unit for the power play.
Mm-hmm.
And I noticed that, and that really makes a difference, being out there for all the power plays versus not. I feel like that's what helped pad his stats last game.
Yep. And again, just the fact that the score was what it was. You can tell when
Yes.
things get really close, Hackstall's going to just shy away from his 18-year-old rookie. And come on, I don't blame him.
No, I would love to know what the breakdown was period by period, because I got to think in that third period, it was probably like 2 minutes at most, like probably less.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. A lot has changed for this team, but I also think this same team gives up those same third period shots last year, and Grubauer just doesn't save any of them. Jones is just a big change. It's possible. I feel like, Grubauer obviously went through a historically bad season last year.
Yeah.
So it'd certainly be easy to say that. But I still think that a lot more goes into it. The fact that the Kraken blocked 18 shots tonight, the fact that they were really trying to work together cohesively. You do have Maddie playing that far back. I mean, no other Kraken center was really doing that last year. Gord at times, right? But nobody else was kind of doing those things. So I think there's a little bit more to it than just Jones over Grubauer.
Yeah, I agree. And with that Grubauer defense, I want to hop to a recent with Medeiros because I was curious about this. Of course, going to
Hmm.
Medeiros after the Grubauer defense,
Yeah.
but was something up with their ice? Both Kraken and Penguins were struggling with the puck in their legs. It seemed like they were kind of struggling to stay on their feet, and sometimes that does happen.
It does. I mean, it's no mullet arena. What can we say? Only, only the Arizona Coyotes know how to build a good ice surface, as the NHL is apparently learning. Tammy, we do need to keep working on those dang face-offs, though. Yeah, another day under 50%.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess you don't need it to win.
No, you don't.
How much under 50% were they? Do you know?
43%.
Okay, that's manageable.
Yeah.
That's manageable. And then at that point, it's just when you win them.
Yeah.
And they won some face-offs at really key times.
They did, and that's ultimately, as we're finding out, what matters more. If the
Yep.
game's going to be close in the third, make that the time you win. Like you could lose every first period face off as long as you win those late clutch ones. It's all that matters. And
Yep.
again, you're going up against a Sidney Crosby. Matty Beniers 38% tonight. Do we totally blame him? Not
Mhm.
really.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Oh wait, I got to throw this in. Sorry, from
Yeah.
Lindsay Marie Gordon. It looks like 7 other of the Kraken wags watched the game at Queen Anne Beer Hall and supported the sponsor. Hey,
There we
there
go.
we go.
They took the
Good
advice.
job.
For
Yep, they
for
took
these
our
road
advice.
games, we're gonna be coming back home, but next road trip, everybody, Queen Anne Beer Hall, excellent place. Team approved as far as I'm
Yep,
concerned, right there.
yep. A bot, Dylan bot.
You could get the bots too, right?
No, I can't. It's not
Yeah,
letting me.
well, okay,
Sorry. All right, so I'll just read a comment somewhere
yeah,
around here while you kill the bot.
yep, it's
Um,
gone.
okay, you got it. Nice.
Yeah.
Um, let's see. I'm
You-
sorry, the first comment I went to. This game has made all the blood in my body rush to my southern regions.
Oh,
I'm like,
geez. Sean here. Great to
thank
see
you,
the
Dylan.
Kraken close out the 3-2 win with 3+ minutes left in the third. Much improved over last season. Exactly. This team is night and day, as we talked about through most of this post game. Really, the Sandpipes. Have you guys read the Athletic article on Shane Wright? Anything from that was new or surprising to you guys? So, as we know, I don't subscribe to the Athletic. Go ahead, give me all the boos and hisses. That's fine. So RJ, did you read the article from the Athletic about Shane Wright? And if so, what stood out to you?
I did, and it was an article from Mike Russo, and I was wondering because he was the only one who reported before the last game, before the Minnesota game, that Wright was going to play in the
Hmm.
morning. So
Yeah,
I'm like, he must have talked to him, and turns out he did.
yeah,
For this story. And is that the article? Chat can remind me. Is that the one where we find out that he's about to move in with Ryan Donato?
yeah. I
Because
think so.
yeah, because I thought that was really interesting. That he's been living in a hotel this whole time, and you and I, we talked about it on the Discord a little bit, but we were
Mhm.
talking with each other, like, given how these things usually work, like, why isn't he living with a teammate?
Right.
And because that's what most teams would do. That's what would happen in this situation most of the time. And so hearing that he's going to be living with Ryan Donato, I think that's great.
Hmm.
That's kind of, I feel like what should have been happening, but it's better late than never, I guess. Yeah,
Yeah.
with that. And I think, that's going to be really good for both of them. So
Hmm.
that was my big takeaway from that article. And I was happy to see it.
Yeah, I was really happy to see that too because it does feel like something, right? As just because we played against him tonight, right? Sidney Crosby going to live with Mario when he first comes into the league. Like I feel like it's one of those things, especially for the 18-year-olds. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
one thing when they're a little bit older, or like in Maddie's case, he was off living in college. But for the 18-year-olds that maybe lived with a billet family or lived with their family still while they went through major junior, and they have high school still, right? That's something that was talked about in the Allison Lucan article about Shane Wright, and when talking with his parents being like, yeah, not only is he living on his own, it's also the first time he's ever had free time because before it's always hockey, practice, games, all that stuff, and then also school in all your free time as you're trying to balance both lifestyles. And so I think it's super beneficial for these guys at 18, that first time that you're maybe moving away from home, moving away from being within kind of like that nuclear family unit, as well, to kind of be in a situation where you can be around a pro and kind of see how you approach that lifestyle. Hey, when should I be getting up and working out? How should I be managing my diet and all of those kinds of things? It's just so helpful to have someone who's already going through that and already been through it there to kind of help you out. I think it's absolutely fantastic, and I was really glad to hear it.
And I feel like we're going to get some really good stories out of it too over the coming months. I'm looking forward to that. Jules saying, "Oh,
Yeah.
it's Donato going to turn into a big bro for Shane." I think we're going to have
Yes.
some fun stories with the two of them.
I very much so think so as well, whatever that was. Gabe, do you think we might trade a center before the deadline? Seems crowded with Wenny, Geeky, Maddie, Yanni, and Shane. Even McCann can play in the middle. I don't think you ever want to trade away centers if you can help it. And the Kraken are in a situation where I don't feel like they have to. At some point, someone will get hurt, right? It's just the nature of the game. We've been saying that for a while now. So you want to have the depth for when that happens. You're kind of in a good spot contract wise with everybody. So you don't really feel the need to move anybody out for that reason. And then as we're seeing, Yanni Gord does just fine playing on the wing too. So
Yep.
I don't know that it really is kind of, too much of a good thing right now.
Yeah, it's fine being this deep down the middle. And like you said, injuries happen. And especially during the playoffs, if they were to get there, being deep down the middle is way more important than in the regular season even. So if you're trying to, build a team that can go as far as possible, having Wenberg definitely helps. It would only be worth considering maybe next, in the off season, if you're trying to bring in a bigger salary and you just have to move some money out.
Yeah, exactly. SJ letting us know Samsonov got hurt at tonight's game, so the Leafs are down to one goaltender. So we all know what the hockey story is going to be, internationally for the next couple days. And also, if anybody in the ECH fantasy league I'm in has a spare goaltender, let me know.
Exactly.
Let's see from Pablo. Seattle's next three games are against Nashville, Minnesota, and Winnipeg. Those are three, they're winnable games, but those are also going to be tough games because you've got very different teams as you look at that, right? Nashville, traditionally big, strong, just difficult to play against, physically kind of team. And then you've got Minnesota, which we were able to handle, but at any time that Minnesota team can just decide, hey, we're going to score 7 tonight, and there's nothing you can do about it. You know what I mean?
Oh,
And
yeah.
so Kraken are definitely going to have to be prepared for that. And then Winnipeg, I haven't paid too much attention to Winnipeg, but I know they won 4-0 tonight, I believe was the final score of their game. And they have guys that can hurt you too.
And it feels like Connor Hellebuck just rattles off a shutout every few games.
Yeah,
he can single-handedly beat you basically if he's really on his game that night. So that's always something you have to worry about. I believe he shut out the Kraken last season. So my mind goes right to that game.
Yeah, and I see lots of people talking about beating the Preds, all that kind of stuff. Preds upset Calgary a couple days ago.
Yeah,
Like,
it's the NHL. Any team can beat any other team.
And if any team's going to do it, it's those teams that are, the ones with that focus on defense and grinding it out and being physical, because those are the ones that can kind of come up and surprise anybody. And with their goaltender too, like you can get stuff done. Let's see. I just saw somebody taking a shot at me. Aaron here. Dylan surely isn't talking about bad facial hair.
Oh,
what's that
come on,
supposed to mean? I know it's because I didn't clean up down here today, huh? You're letting me know. I understand. I should have. That's on
keep
me.
him honest. Keep him honest, chat.
Exactly. Dylan JBC Omega Kraken season sweep of the Penguins. Winning is getting to be a habit, which I love. Always good to see Dylan on winning post games. So there we go. Gotta come back with a good one there. I saw someone asking, and then it's Aaron. Any update on McCann?
McCann, day-to-day, lower body. He was skating at morning skate today. So I imagine he was probably a game time decision for this game. Didn't end up going, but I could see that also as a function of just wanting to stick with a lineup that worked really well and not wanting to force him back. I think if this is the playoffs, he's probably in the lineup.
Yes.
So yeah, we'll see, when they get to their homestand, but I imagine we'll see him back sooner rather than later.
That's my guess too. You never want to force somebody back also on the road,
Yeah.
Like, it's just, like, not really the best time to do that if you don't have to, and the Kraken certainly didn't have to. So,
Yes.
yeah, we'll probably see him over those next couple games at some point. Lindsay here. I distinctly remember a post-game live last season before Tanev's injury about putting Gord and Tanev on the same line, and you guys said it was a bad idea and that their energy should stay on different lines.
Okay, we're being called out, Dylan.
Well, 2 questions. 1, do you have a receipt for that, Lindsay? Okay, so let's throw that one out there.
Give
2,
us a game number.
2, I'm gonna make that last statement irrelevant because I think I do remember that, but it was a different team, right? Last year, the Kraken did not have 4 lines that could all roll. You didn't have Morgan Geekie doing the things he's doing this year. That was before them getting a Carson Kuhlman and bringing him into the fold, or a Daniel Sprong and bringing him into the fold. Before you've got Matty Beniers up on your first line holding down that center spot. So yes, I think last year it was a matter of, hey, we're trying to get 4 lines going. Let's kind of keep the 2 guys that can kind of really drive possession and keep things out of the Kraken zone, because that was such a problem last year. Let's try to, make sure we always have someone like that on the ice. This year, don't have to be as worried about that, and that's why that's the difference, I guess.
Yeah, and that was my first thought, is that was a different team, and we probably again stacking those two together, because not because it wouldn't work with the two of them together, because like it just makes sense, but because of what it would do to all the other lines. They just did not have the depth that they have this year.
Yeah, exactly.
And Lindsay said, I'm going to have to go back and watch every single post game to find that one-off comment, lol. But good point about a very different team.
Yes. I was going to say, give me a second. I'll just make sure all those past streams are monetized. So get that.
Yep.
Get like a penny out of you watching all 82. Let's see where I just saw one. Oh man, where was it? Oh well, oh here, Alex. Time to look at playoff chances on Money Puck. Why don't you pick and choose a comment while I pull that up on my end, RJ, and then I'll make you guess what it says.
All right. Well, I'm going to pick one from kind of the most recent of chat here, because it's an interesting one. This is from Hockey Fork. Very honest question. If we shouldn't put losses on Hack, why should we put wins on him?
Because I think it all depends on the situation and how, like what happens for the win or the loss, right? I was making the argument when it came to not putting the losses that we were seeing from the Kraken on Hackstall, because I felt that they were more player performance based, in the sense that players were just making mistakes, or they weren't communicating with each other, or like a lot of it was Jamie Alexiak, Carson Soucy at times too, but like Alexiak, going back to that Max Domi goal, just because I think it's the easiest example. Every coach in the world is telling Jamie Alexiak, don't let that guy behind you, especially when you've got 100 pounds and a foot on him, right? And he was still letting him behind him, or making some of the decisions they were making behind their own net, or just kind of the overall defensive breakdowns that they were having. They were all things that coaches would be telling them kind of constantly not to do. And so in that sense, that's why I wasn't putting those losses on Hackstall. If the losses were because they were coming out with like horrible game plans, or the team was just completely flat and unmotivated, kind of like we saw with the Vegas game, those were the ones where I was critical on Hackstall, and I felt like those are the kinds of losses you can put. But unfortunately, it's not something where it's kind of as cut and dry as saying like, all the performance goes to just the coach, because depending on how you get there for that end result, the blame can kind of get shifted around.
Right. And I do think it's kind of more nuanced, really. Like with the Vegas game, I think we were both putting a lot of blame on Hackstall because the team just didn't show up prepared. There wasn't a good game plan, all of that. But I think you are seeing some, really deft tactical moves here, especially, with how the lineup has been going, sticking to his guns on the fourth line, knowing that trio was going to work, shuffling up lines mid-game, like we saw with Tanev, Gordon, Geekie this game, things like that are coaching. And then of course the players go in and execute, and they deserve their share of the credit as well. Yes. I mean, and especially the defense for fixing those mistakes.
Yes.
But that'd be my answer.
Yeah, I think that's a good one. All right. Care to guess what the Kraken's playoff percentage is, RJ?
I'm going to slightly cheat here. I think I saw somewhere in chat it was 76%.
76.5. Ha, you cheated and you still got it wrong.
No. I guess I deserve that, huh?
Yeah, no, it's that's pretty solid. we'll see as the season goes on. But yeah, just based on the way they're playing, the style of hockey they're playing, having that depth, all of those things, the fact that we're seeing game plans game to game, and we can kind of identify them just watching how the team is playing, or the fact that the defense really did tighten up and they fixed a lot of those mistakes that they were making. That's the stuff that it takes to become a playoff caliber team. And then of course goaltending, which we are definitely getting right now.
Yeah, definitely. And I know, there's that important benchmark of American Thanksgiving. And when, teams that are in versus out at that time, it can be very predictive. So we're coming up on that. So if they can just stay in a playoff position, it's going to look good.
Yeah. Let's see. So some more talk about, is Hackstall off the hot seat now? Do they need a playoff appearance? I'm seeing here for him to get off the hot seat. I don't know. I think he's off the hot seat.
I think so too. Yeah, I think his seat was only going to warm up if they had kind of a disastrous start to the season. Only then would it get really hot. And I mean, they're kind of past that at this point. It would take a big losing streak now to even get into that territory.
Right. And as Tina's pointing out, hey, he's got us over 500. It's progress. It's definitely. Let's see. Sean, Kraken fans going to be loud welcoming the team home again against the Predators after such a great road trip. Yes, they are. People are going to be so pumped for that game, RJ.
Oh, I'm looking forward to it.
I was going to say, I hope you're ready for the movement you're going to get on that press bridge.
No, I'll brace myself for the shaking there. And as much fun as this road trip has been, I am so excited for them to come back home.
All right, CR Bud's got a good one here. Hindsight: if Geeky could have made a move and just left the puck on that breakaway, Tanev had an easy tap in. So I was just hoping Geeky was going to take a shot and not try to make a move, because if you take a shot, you get the rebound.
Yeah, I was wondering too, how much, like, does he see Tanev back there? Because the really bold move would be to pull the goalie out of the way and just throw it to the front of the net. I didn't want him to do that. No. And it seemed like Tanev was almost skating intentionally slowly on that, just to not mess with Geeky. Like, don't even take me into account. Just do your thing, man. And that's something I've seen even, while like playing myself on a 2-on-0, I'll just back off because I don't want to mess with my teammate.
I know, but maybe this is just because I have zero puck handling skills whatsoever. You're like, yes. I would just go 5-hole, knowing like, hey, maybe you can like kind of get it in there before he can fully get down. And if he does get down and make the save, that's a for sure rebound off of the pads.
Yeah,
it's just, that's what I would do. But I do it for very different reasons. I wouldn't do it for that reason. It'd just be because that's all I can actually do. Another nice stat so far this season: the Kraken are 6-1-1 against playoff teams from last season. Superfly letting us know. That's a really interesting stat to think about.
And it feels right, doesn't it? Yeah. They're good at kind of playing up to that good opposition. And, as long as they limit their playing down to bad opposition, I think that's something they still need to work on. But, if they can do that, it shows they can beat anyone. And speaking of interesting stats, she's not in chat, unfortunately. Maybe one day we'll be so lucky, but I want to share this one from Allison that I saw on Twitter.
Yeah.
Forgot this tidbit. Kraken are now 4-0-0 when the first period ends 0-0.
Okay.
So
yeah, that is interesting. Let's see. All right, trying to find some good ones here as we come up on the hour mark. This is from CR Bud. One piece of advice for Shane: face-offs. That's a place he can really help the team right away. Definitely. You become the face-off specialist on this team, you will get ice time.
Yeah, it's a path to playing time.
Let's see. Oh, speaking of the ice, LA Kings is having difficulties with their ice as well. We have multiple dips and small holes after every game. They try to add more layers to the ice. That's coming from Jules. Interesting. Get some insider information there. Like to see it. I assume everything's been good up at CPA, RJ.
Yeah, seems like it. I haven't heard any complaints about the ice, and that's including just, that kind of background locker room talk. Haven't heard a single complaint from the players.
Yeah. Ferris, great problem to have. Depth. Go Kraken. It is. It's definitely a nice one to have. Let's see. I'm gonna have to. Oh, yeah, that's from Lindsay there. Brian, best start to a Sunday morning: a great cup of coffee and watching the Kraken move up on the Hockey Guys power rankings. Gonna be great to see. That is true. I wonder where they're gonna end up now.
Yeah, I mean, arrows pointing up. We'll see how high they can go.
Yeah, how much is he a believer? Kind of a good litmus test for us, like, nationally, you know what I mean? Because
Mhm.
we're so plugged into just all the Seattle stuff. It would be interesting now that the team is playing so well, and they've done it now on the road through places like Pittsburgh and Minnesota. That's
Yep.
kind of the stuff where you can get, people talking about you, so good to see. Um, let's see. What else we got here? Also, I want to see Shane in the clutch. It seems to me like when the game's on the line, he's more or less benched. It's from Hockey Fork. Yeah, I mean, that's just the situation with any 18-year-old, really. it's,
Yeah,
it's what any
and
coach is going to do.
he'll get more opportunities as time goes on.
Yep. All right. Should we close it out with the latest super chat there?
Yes, let's do it.
All
All
right.
right. Kitty B Kraken, thank you for the super chat. Super chat to keep the streak going. I wonder how much it has to do with Bowie. It's been a little while since we've got a Bowie mention here
Yes,
in chat. And you know
it's
what?
definitely been a while.
Things, started to look up, around that time, maybe.
Yeah, I was gonna say, we can't do it on YouTube chat, but I'd love if someone could put the Incredibles, like coincidence. I think not.
Mm-hmm.
GIF in there, like that would be very appropriate for that one. I will say, um, but thank you, Kitty B Kraken, for the super
Mm-hmm.
chat as always. I do want to see this last one right above Kitty B Kraken there,
Okay.
and then we'll make this one the last one. Sorry, I lied, everybody. It's from Tina, and it's people talked last year about Hackstall being a development coach more than a guy who wins. Still the feeling seeing how different we play now, or was that for us to feel better about a tough year one? No, it was not. It was not just to make everybody feel better last year. I still think that that's where his strengths lie is in development, but it's also in development of like current players, right? Development doesn't always have to just mean for young guys, and I think we saw that with how the defense has kind of been fixed so fast. The fact that
Mm-hmm.
we're talking about how bad they were 6 games into the season and then 6 games later, it's like, wow, they're not making any mistakes and they can just make sure the puck gets up ice and these forwards can all do their work. That's development too, because it's developing, as we talked about when we talked about how bad the defense was playing, they were lacking in some pretty basic skills. Head on a swivel, don't have both guys go behind the net, right? Those are like developmental skills that you would work on with younger players, but it's what this team was struggling with. And I feel like Hackstall being more of a developmental coach, being somebody more geared towards, just rising overall skill levels, I think that that's, kind of what we're seeing there.
Yeah, agreed. And that kind of thing, it happens over longer stretches of time. It doesn't always happen overnight.
Yeah.
So speaking of keeping the streak going,
I
light
know.
again, that was not the last comment. We've got two more super chats.
Yeah, so I'll read this one here from Leanne. Treats for everyone. Go like the stream and send healing vibes to my favorite boy, Jared. Always fun to spend time with all you all. Thank you so much, Leanne. Here, Afro, you want another treat? Come here. Come on.
All right, Leanne, you did this. Afra's going to get another treat.
Yep. There we go. Good girl.
There we go. What other post game show can you just like live, give a dog a treat?
Exactly. Kisses? All right. It's not a treat. I understand. And you want to take us home with that last
Yeah.
super chat?
Last one from Duthan. Thanks for the dance party, guys. Loving the games. Thank you, Duthan. And yeah, loving these dance parties. Let's keep them going. These are
Yeah.
always so much fun. And thank you everybody who watched this stream and joined us for another great ECH post game live. I'm having so much fun.
I am too. 4-game win streak. Who would have thunk that? Come on,
Let's
everybody. It's so
go.
great. And now the team finally gets to go home to Seattle and we get to see them keep it going at CPA. Going to be an awesome time. And don't forget, if you're going to pregame or anything like that, do it at Queen Anne Beer Hall, just moments away. It's just a short walk from Climate Pledge Arena. Really easy to get over there. And then certainly remember it for next road trip as well. Love to see everybody as always. Thanks so much for joining us, and we will see you all next time.